Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are, how you might be listening/watching. Thank you for making this part of the day. I'm Justin,
I'm Alexander.
and we're the hockey podcast you're about to hear. And Alex, did you know that if you rearrange the letters of postal carriers, they will become very angry?
Why?
Yeah, then they won't have to write letters going to the right places.
You know, if pre means before and post means after, if you use both of those, it's preposterous.
That was well delivered.
All right, let's move on. I don't want to play this game anymore.
Oh, come on, it was fun.
All right, where are we at this week, Justin?
Where was last time our heroes, that you'd like to say? So you're going
Oh,
to do a good, bad, and the ugly coverage of some more good, bad, and ugly of the league?
mm-hmm. Which we were early December last time we talked to all y'all, and we had our thoughts on how things were going at that first. It was just after the quarterway mark, I believe, for the season. We're now just about 2/3, I would say. So this is not a weekly podcast. This is a monthly or bi-monthly
Right?
or
Ish.
semi-monthly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
What's a
don't know how you
quarter?
define that.
What's a quarter of the season ish? So, yeah.
When we feel like it, okay?
Yes. Yes.
That's the timing is when we feel like it works into our schedules.
Let's say when our schedules line up and things are good, then we'll do it.
Stop emailing us, asking us when the next one's going to drop, and we'll drop it.
Please. It's exhausting.
Okay? This
Yes.
is our podcast, not yours.
Right.
So, with that, let's pick a division to start in, Justin. Where should we start?
Oh, let's mix things up and go with the Central. What do you think?
Central. So, last time we left our heroes in the Central, it was, no surprise, the Avalanche and the Stars on top. Winnipeg was also up there. Arizona's doing well for Arizona. The Wild were kind of trash. We knew the Blackhawks were trash. The Blues were struggling a bit. And since then, we have seen the Wild have fired a coach. The Blues have fired a coach. And yeah, things for some of those teams are not going well. The best teams continue to do well. So as far as a good, bad, and ugly for this division, to catch you up, the good is the fact that Winnipeg has at times been the best team in the league. They've had highest percentage of points in the league a couple different times over the last couple months. Playing really, really good hockey. Looks like signing Hellebuck and Scheifele to those extensions to start the year was a good call, at least for this year.
I'm bound to pick with the Jets. They could have waited another week or two at least before making my bold prediction look silly. No, I think it was just a few days after our first podcast drop for the season. My bold prediction is they'll trade Connor Hellebuck. 2 days later, they re-signed him.
8 years.
Yeah. Well, that went well. Yes.
So, yeah, that's Winnipeg. Good. Now we got to move on to a bad. And a number of ways we could go here. Decided to settle on Minnesota because typically you would expect a new coach bump or bounce, dead cat bounce, whatever you want to call it.
I think they got a hair of that bounce, and then not much since.
More a hair of the dog that bit you.
Well, I think the new coach bounced, or maybe it was the Blues. I can't remember. One of the teams played the Flames right after they fired the coach and ended up winning it. So there's that.
Let's put it this way. Last we talked, they were second to last in their division with a .458 percentage points, and they are still second last in their division at a .480 percentage points. Like they have not gotten better, at all.
Brutal.
And in many ways, because they were, at least at that point, they were closer points wise to the playoff positions than they are now. So
yeah, that's pretty rough. And,
not good by any means.
So I feel like they had playoff expectations coming into the season, and here we are.
I would say that was true. Yes. So that's bad for Minnesota. So what could possibly be worse than that? Well, we're Chicago, and granted, you are not supposed to have a great year this year. You are not supposed to be a good team. This is a developmental year, and a year where you are expecting a high draft pick. Okay, so what do you have? Well, you have Connor Bedard learning from veterans around him like Corey Perry and other guys to talk about. And what has happened in the last 2 months? Bedard has a broken jaw and has missed the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
And Corey Perry is no longer with the team, had his contract terminated, and
Clean cut.
now plays for the Edmonton Oilers.
Because why not?
So, and still nothing as to exactly what happened as to what he did that caused the Blackhawks to terminate his contract and for him to just be gone, like overnight.
Yeah. And for the NHLPA to not try and fight it, like wrongful termination of contract, yada yada. That's
Apparently they've extended the window that he had. He had 60 days from his termination to file a grievance with the league, and they've extended that window because they still think they want to. They just haven't. I don't know the deal is with the legal ramifications of that. I'm just like, no matter what, it was bad. In fact, it was worse than bad. It was ugly because suddenly it was like, hey, he's away from the team. Why is he away from the team? Personal reasons. 2 or 3 days later, hey, we're terminating his contract.
Oh,
why?
that escalated quickly.
Because we want to.
Yeah.
Tell us why. No.
No.
It was routed in mystery and still is.
Yeah, and when that happens, of course, the internet isn't patient and waits. They come up with speculation and, oh, hey, I wonder if this happened. Oh, hey, I wonder if this happened. Oh, hey, I wonder if this happened.
Yes, and so it was just an absolute ugly mess the past couple months for Chicago. Boo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo.
Oh, darn.
Suck it, nerds.
Well, not getting any uglier.
Anything else you'd like to hit on in the Central?
Nope, I don't think so. I think that about sums it up nicely.
All right.
Shall we mosey to the Pacific and see what's going on there?
Sure.
Right.
In the Pacific Division, when we talked last time, it was a bit of an issue because I think the Oilers were like the 4th or 5th worst team in the league.
Yep, something like that.
I think they might have just started turning around. They had already fired their coach, I think, by this point.
Right.
And were getting that new coach bump, but it was like, you guys are really, really, really far back from a playoff spot. You guys are, they were what, .456 as a points percentage. And lo and behold, we open up the calendar today, and they've gone from a 4.56 to a 6.56.
Sheesh.
So they have gone nuts. So they've won 10 of their last 10 because they've actually won 16 of their last 16.
Insane.
They have been on El Fuego. Unbelievable fire.
Yeah, which is crazy.
This last few months. I think it predates Christmas is when they started this winning streak. The all-time record is 17. So the Oilers play Vegas, who is the team that's above them in the playoffs right now, on Tuesday night, the 6th of February. If you listen to this before then, and you have the chance to watch that game, that should be prime time viewing. Because the Oilers are on an absolute tear right now, and kind of fun to watch.
Right.
But
for some people, yes.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Right, yes.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's one of the consolidations for the season so far. Like, oh, I guess Edmonton's doing poorly. Oh. Bye. All right. Well, this is fun. Cool. Yeah, I can't believe that. It's amazing. Although it's amazing what happens when Connor McDavid's actually, feeling well.
Well, it's like the whole team has basically bought into, hey, we're going to play defense, and they've won a lot of games with lower scores.
Which is
like,
also crazy for them.
It's not like it's like 5-4 games anymore. It's like, no, we could win 2-1, 3-1 kind of games.
Crazy.
So, as a result, McDavid, Draisaitl, they're not putting up the points like they would have last year. Like, nobody even knows what Nugent Hopkins is even doing. But they're playing team defense. They're not allowing a ton of goals, though. That's making it really, really good for them. So, I guess good on them.
Yeah, if we have to.
Yeah, kind of do.
All right, so if they're good, then who's the bad?
The bad, and it's not necessarily surprising, but the bad is the San Jose Sharks.
Yep.
Because when we were here last, they were last in their division. and they had just come out of losing all their games in a row to start the year,
Oh.
and started to win a few here and there, so they were avoiding like the being the all-time worst team ever. Since then they've had another like 10-game losing streak. I'm still surprised the coach is still there, but like
Yeah.
there's nothing to salvage at this point.
Mhm.
So why bother?
Yeah.
So that's where they're not ugly. It's like we knew they weren't going to be good this year. They are not good this year. They're not as bad as they were this time. Last time we talked to you, so they're just bad. We know they're bad, but they continue to be bad. A special
Mhm.
kind of bad.
Yeah. Minus 92 differential. Ugh.
Yeah, that's rough.
Oof.
But what is rougher still than that is a team that is ugly. And that ugly team is none other than the Anaheim Ducks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're ugly because this team wasn't supposed to be as bad as they are right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're not supposed to be this bad. And the fact that, like, one of their young stars, like Trevor Zegras, is basically, like, on the trade block. Like, for a team that's rebuilding,
Oof,
you shouldn't
yeah,
be
that's
thinking,
rough.
hey, we have a guy in his early 20s that's shown some promise. And things are going so poorly, it's like, anybody want this guy?
Right?
Because we don't really want him. It's like, it seems like a team that's going to lose for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that it's worse than it should be, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yep. Hey, does anybody want Trevor Zegras? We want some draft picks back. You can get anything with draft picks. Oh, it could be another Trevor Zegras.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who are you going to
Seems-
draft with your next
seems
draft pick, with your draft pick you got for Trevor Zegras? Probably somebody a lot like Trevor Zegras.
Oh, well, but okay, sure.
That said, the kid does seem to be more flash than substance, and if you can't get something out of him,
Mm-hmm.
he might be like the worst trade anybody ever makes. Of, hey, we traded for this guy, we thought we could fix him, and we couldn't fix him, but we had to give up a first-round pick to get him because he was a first-round pick. Or somebody trades for him and turns him into a superstar. Who knows?
Yeah, that's always the one that you.
It'll be interesting to see if that happens this year.
Yeah, because that's always the one as a fan. You're like, oh, hope he doesn't do well wherever he goes. Unless you like the guy, then he's like, oh well, I guess he can do fine wherever he goes.
Yeah.
It's just sad to see. Oh, he could have been doing that here. Ugh.
I think Anaheim is going to sell the farm at the deadline.
Again?
I think we'll probably see what Gibson moved. We'll see some defensemen. We're going to see.
You think it's finally the year for Gibson, huh?
I think so. There's so much desperate need for goaltending.
There really is.
Like there's so many teams that think they are just a goaltender away from being a legit cup contender, or guys that have their goaltenders get injured this year. I think it might be time. It gets closer and closer to happening every year. We have less on his contract left.
That also helps. Yeah.
2 or 3 years left right now. So we'll see. And I imagine if you're Gibson, you're like, I want out of this place.
Get me out, please. I don't care where I go. Buffalo. Okay, maybe not Buffalo.
Getting ugly here. Justin, I would say any other thoughts on the Pacific? And I know you do because your team's in the Pacific, and I'm going to make you talk about them.
Right,
so,
yes. I have a honorary mention for ugly or bad for stick the Calgary Flames there.
And why is that?
Oh, they are so far below expectations, and my expectations were even that high this year. I was hoping like the number 3 in the Pacific or sniffing a wild card spot. They are nowhere close. I mean, kind of close, but realistically, nowhere close. Already started selling off. Traded Lindholm for some guys and some picks. So it's kind of their, well, this is their season. Let's trade off some guys while we can, which is smart. Because it kind of bit them in the butt last time they didn't do that. But, let's not bring that up again. But, yes, Markstrom's kind of back. Getting back to where he used to be in better form. But still just kind of a head scratcher for what's going on. Huberdeau went on a huge streak of like no points. I don't remember this stat, but like Nathan McKinnon in that same streak had like 28 or 29 points. It was kind of ridiculous. He's kind of coming up, and in a huge twist of irony, Lindholm was actually the Flames representative for the All-Star games. And since this happened before the All-Star games, the Flames technically didn't have any representatives there.
You traded away your one representative.
Right? What a slap in the face to the league.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here for it. I'm of the mindset that not every team should have somebody to represent them. If my team is a steaming pile of hot garbage, I don't expect anybody to show up at the All-Star game. But, that's just me.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. And this participation trophy nonsense. Because then you lock out somebody who, legitimately should be there. Wait, I have 20 more points than this guy. Why is he there and I'm not? He plays for the Sharks. Oh. Okay. Well, sure. All right. See you, buddy. So, they're bad and ugly, starting to sell off. I imagine probably a few more moves before the deadline. I don't think they'll trade Markstrom, but maybe Dan Vladar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of those guys will be.
Goaltending.
What's that?
And if you can get Vladar way cheaper than you can get Gibson,
Mm-hmm.
I can see Vladar being a market.
Yeah, I think he's ready to be a starter somewhere. So, yeah, I just don't think people have room for Markstrom's contract, which, is fine. But if you keep Markstrom and bring up Justin Wolf to study under Markstrom, I think that's probably the most win-win as you can get for the scenario for the Flames. But yeah, that's where I put him, either bad or ugly or both.
Sure.
So, any other thoughts then from you on the Pacific?
I'm just. Do you think Tanev's gone? Do you think Hanifin will or won't re-sign? Those are two big pieces that have a lot of question marks around them.
Yeah, I would be surprised if, for sure, one of them I think will get traded because Hanifin's been saying that since this last off season that he's made once out. So I expect him to go at some point, and yeah, probably Tanev too. For sure, Hanifin though. If I had to pick one of them, I'd say probably him. But yeah, I expect one or two other, maybe three other trades to happen to get some guys out to bring some young guns and draft picks in and see what we make happen for next year.
Okay. No, as far as the Pacific goes, I don't necessarily have a ton else other than I probably should have maybe put the Los Angeles Kings in here as one of the bads, probably. It kind of slipped my mind a little bit. So maybe we shouldn't have picked on San Jose. Maybe we should have picked on the Kings because they have gone complete trash.
Yeah. Didn't they just fire their coach?
They fired their coach just before the All-Star break. Yes, or just into the All-Star break.
Right. Yeah.
Who many people thought was one of the top coaches in the league. Todd McClellan's a well-respected coach,
right.
And I don't think he'll be out of work for very long because the teams are going to be nope, we want that guy.
Wait, what? He's available? Oh, all right, sure.
Yeah. No, the Kings went from second in the division last time we talked at a .761 win percentage to now they are fourth in the division at a .583.
Oof. That's...
So again, whereas the Oilers jumped basically 0.2 from their win percentage, the Kings dropped 0.2.
Blech. That's abysmal. My word.
That's a lot of losing streaks right there.
Yes, it is.
A lot of losing streaks. So, yeah, sad day for Kings fans. They're struggling with goaltending and other stuff, and Pierre-Luc Dubois is still an issue. Shocking, I know.
Wow, shocking.
Yeah,
your face.
It's kind of like, hey, everywhere you've gone, you've been an issue.
No, we can fix them. Yeah,
we can
fix them. Can you though? Can you though?
Many people delude themselves into thinking they can fix Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah.
That it worked? No, it never has. But it just might for us.
But we'll try this approach. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I'm kind of sad, not that I'm a huge Kings fan, but Kings were my cup prediction because I thought they had built a team for the playoffs to get past Edmonton and get past the obstacles they were going to face in front of them, and they start out the year super good, and they are no longer super good.
Can't lose to Edmonton in the playoffs if we don't make the playoffs. Hey.
Galaxy brain that one. Okay, so that's the other honorable mention I'd say.
I'm good with that. Yep, forgot about them too.
All right, where are we moving on to next?
Let's mosey to the Metro. Who's good there?
Okay, so the Metro, it was hard to find something that I would say is good because the Metro has nobody that's like really taking the bull by the horns this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Rangers started out well and fallen off, and the Flyers are starting well and falling off, and the Carolina Hurricanes started off poor but have gotten better. So I basically just kind of defaulted to like, okay, let's just say it's the Hurricanes. Because last time, like their points percentage hasn't astronomically jumped. It's jumped, like 0.075. So they've gone from like fourth in division when we talked last time to second in division, which is where you expected them to be. Basically,
Right. Yeah.
they're good. It's just them getting back to where we thought they would be in the first place. So
Yeah.
they're back. They're right back in the hunt for one of the best teams in the East. Probably aren't going to catch Boston for any,
Boston.
Anything, but still, they're back towards the top of their division, which is where we thought they would be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
great. And technically, if they win their next game, they would be tied with the Rangers in the division. So
that's pretty good. Yeah.
I think that's they just struggle with some goaltending stuff and some inconsistencies on defense and whatnot that have hampered the team a bit.
Right.
But they're still fun to watch.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm good with them. I'd like to see them win. I have no beef with them, so All right. So if they're the good, then who's the bad?
The bad, I gotta go to the Devils.
Yeah.
Because when we were here last time, it was the bottom of the division looked like the Blue Jackets, which was kind of expected, and the Penguins, which was unexpected, and the Devils, which was unexpected.
Yeah.
Fast forward here a month and a half or 2 months. Okay, it's really spent about 2 months. Bottom of the division is still the Blue Jackets, and the Devils are still second worst in the division. But the Penguins have jumped spots and are technically right now better than the Devils. They're both having struggle years, but the Devils are supposed to be far better than bottom 3 in the division. And technically, if we're going to suck points, it's a 3-way tie for, I guess you could say, for 5th place in the division, or second to last place in the division, depending how you look at it. So, Penguins, Devils, Capitals are all tied at 51 points.
That's crazy.
And all of them think that, hey, maybe we still got a shot at the playoffs. And some are like, guys, this is not your year, because if this was your year, you would not be in this spot right now.
Yeah, you wouldn't be here. So, yeah.
Like, ignore that the St. Louis Blues ever happened.
Oh, my word.
Okay? Don't make decisions based on that miracle.
Is there a worse thing that could happen for fans everywhere than that? Hey, we're dead last, but it could happen. You're telling me there's a chance. All right.
And so, for the talent that they have acquired and the expectations of this year and the extension they signed their coach to, you're like, this team's got to make it happen. Like,
yeah,
do something. And it was the success they had in the playoffs last year. Like, this shouldn't be this bad of a team. And
head scratcher for sure.
They're just not good. I will grant you that, like, the injuries to Jack Hughes does not help, but you got to be stronger than, like, if you're a good team, you can absorb in a major injury like that.
Right, yeah.
But then they lost Dougie Hamilton, and then it's like...
that also hurts.
Their goaltending has been trashed. Like, they're not as good of a team as people thought they were. Or at least that's what they're showing. And so it's bad right now in New Jersey.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now,
so
there is somewhere where it's worse.
And where would that be?
Well, that would be Columbus.
Ugh.
And why is it bad in Columbus? Because you were supposed to be bad, but maybe not abysmal.
Not this bad. Yeah.
You have continued to be absolutely horrible. You're not as bad as the Sharks,
when you're being compared to the Sharks,
3 points, or the Blackhawks, but you're 1 point better than the Senators, which is a whole nother story. So Columbus, you are. Oh no, you're tied with the Senators. Okay. Anyway, the issue though in Columbus is your whole management's about to get fired, and everybody knows it. And so guys are just riding it out at this point. Like, why do we even show up? And then you can bring in this young kid, this draft pick, and you say, hey, buy a house. We're going to put you on the team. he's on the team for like a game or two, and then they kick him back to the AHL, and that's where he's been. And now he's vocaling his opinion of like, I'm better than the guys that are on the team. I should be up playing.
Right.
Which, even if they bring you up, you're going to be such a cancer in the locker room at that point. Basically, the guy's said enough now that like you kind of have to trade him or leave him in the AHL to rot. And he was a high draft pick for Columbus. Like certainly in the top 10. He might have been in the top 5.
Crazy.
And so it's like, Columbus doesn't know what they're doing. They are falling apart. All of like this goes back to like this started with the Babcock hiring,
I still
then
can't
the
believe that
Babcock
happened.
firing, then like, and now Patrick Laine is taking time away for his mental health, entering the player assistance program. Like, your team is just collapsing upon itself like a black hole, and it's. I'm not a huge Blue Jackets hater or lover, so it's just hard to watch.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Johnny Gaudreau envisioned it going like this when he signed.
Maybe you need to move this team to Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
So
change the scenery, change the pace.
Yeah. Johnny Hockey would absolutely love it if you would just move to Atlanta. Be like, wait, you just moved me further away from where I tried to move closer to my family.
No, wait, this isn't. No.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is our ugly for the Metro.
Right.
Anything else for the Metro, Justin, that you would like to add on?
I don't think anything else comes up for me. How about for you?
Nope. Still surprised that the Flyers are like in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
But I kind of expect them to fall off.
Same here, especially with what's going on with the goaltender.
Also, we should mention the Islanders fired their coach and brought in Patrick Waugh, which is supposed to be this major landscape shift in big news. It's like, I don't know that it's going to be, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was very surprised to hear Patrick Waugh get another coaching job after how things went in Colorado. So, yeah.
So, oh wow.
Right.
All right, so that should just leave us with the fantastic Atlantic. The Atlantic. Why?
Well, I will let you take point on it.
We're going to start with the ugly. And the reason I'm going to start with the ugly is because I like to dunk on the Senators. Because screw the Senators. They're a bunch of punks. They're a bunch of babies, like, all across the board. Nobody likes them outside of Ottawa. And even Ottawa Senators fans, they're some of the worst people in the world. I think every fan base has their people that are just, you shouldn't be posting that online. Ottawa has a lot of them. Some of the stuff they posted like turns my stomach. Just some of the things that they've said about, and this is in regard to my team, the Red Wings, of some of the stuff that's gone on, and like personal attacks against some of our players. It's just like this. This is well outside of hockey.
There's no need for that.
No reason for that. So to watch them struggle, hey, I'm happy with. The Senators, the Sabres, and the Wings were all kind of rebuilding at the same time. And we've always felt like the Sabres and the Senators were ahead of us because they got higher draft picks than we did based on lottery luck.
Right.
And so to watch the Ottawa Senators be so far behind where the Red Wings are right now feels kind of good. So
yeah,
I'll take
I can see that.
Now, the Senators are obviously a chaotic mess for a variety of reasons. But another team that has fired their coach and also not seen any type of jump.
Wait, this worked out for every other team. Bunch of nonsense.
Yeah. They started out the year bad, and 2 months ago, last place of the division, jumped forward, and they're even further in last place in the division. Like, yeah, they're just...
You thought you couldn't go down very far, but you found another way to go.
Strugglers. So,
yes.
That's the ugly. The good and the bad. All right. Here you go, folks. The good and the bad in the Atlantic. The good is the Detroit Red Wings. The bad is the Detroit Red Wings.
What?
Let me explain. When last we left our heroes, they were third in the division. Okay? They're riding high, plus 19, winning games that we didn't know that they could win. And it's like, hey, this is looking like a playoff team. You're better than the Leafs. You're better than the Lightning. This is fun. And that was early December. And then we get through to December, and they just start losing. They have
Oof.
the worst December in the NHL of any team in the league.
Oof.
They cannot find a win. They cannot find a point to save their lives. They are struggling. They look terrible. Injuries mount up. Some bad and scary ones happen. And they come out of December just wasted. Like, this is no longer a playoff team. And so that's the bad. Why is it good? Well, because as of today, they're back in the playoffs because they went on a massive heater to start the year. They went like 9-1-2 to start
Sheesh.
the year. They basically got all their points back that they had lost in December. Now they're right back to tied for fourth in division, 1 point behind third in the division. They're right back there. They're well in a playoff spot right now. Like they're the last wild card, but they're 6 points clear of the Islanders.
Oh, crazy.
And so it's like, you know what? They're kind of in that spot now. They had a tough stretch of teams that they had to play in January, and they played really well against some really good teams.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Like they got a point against Edmonton. They beat Vegas. They've beat Tampa Bay. They've beat they've played
Crazy.
really, really well. Mort Seider right now is playing the hardest hockey in the league. His percentage of time that he plays against the other team's top lines is vastly higher than anybody else.
Huh.
He is always out there against every team's top line every night, every minute he's out there. He has more defensive zone starts than anybody else in the league.
That's crazy.
Like, if he people say he's not having a good year because he's not putting up points, it's because he's spending all his time preventing goals at the other end and doing a heck of a job. It's fun to watch him play defense, and honestly, it's fun to watch him give the business to McDavid and Pasternak and Kucherov. Like he knows he's playing against the best players in the world, and he's going after him, and it's fun to watch. Like it's scary to watch. Like when when the best lines of teams come out against you, and you're like, uh-oh, here we go.
Right.
Matthews and Marner are out there again. But then you see Seider jump on the ice, like, you know what? I like our chances. He also is paired with defensemen whose stats are not very good, to where, like, he's got to carry the pair and carry the pair against the best team, the best lines that the NHL has to offer, and he's doing an admirable job at it. So it's really, really fun to watch. So that's really, like, some of the good that I'm talking about is watching this guy become, like, a defensive stalwart.
Nice.
Even though he's not scoring goals, he's not getting back in a ton of assists on the power play because he doesn't play top power play anymore because he needs all his minutes to basically be 5-on-5 and penalty kill.
Nice, yeah.
And so he's playing, that top defenseman in 23, 24 minutes a night. If they make the playoffs, I imagine he'll play 30 minutes a game.
Oof, man.
He's gonna be that kind of workhorse, and it's really fun to watch. And it gives us a little bit more hope for the future. Right. And to be in a playoff spot right now, that's a kiss. Also, last we talked, the Red Wings did not have a man named, what's his name? Patrick Kane. Yeah, Hall of Famer from Chicago, which I was not particularly thrilled about. Kane comes off his hip surgery. He's ready to sign back with somebody. He chooses Detroit because his heart always said Detroit. It also helps that his buddy DeBrincat is playing in Detroit.
Yeah, little things.
And once he got back up to speed, he was one of the best 3 forwards on the wings.
Crazy.
Like, you watch them run the power play, and when this puck is on Kane's stick, all the defensemen back off him just a little bit because they know what he can do. He's not as fast as he used to be, right?
Right, oh yeah.
But everybody respects the heck out of him because they've been burned before and they know what he can do. And just to watch the little plays he makes and the sweet little backhand sauce passes that you're just not expecting, the way that he sees the game, it's really fun to watch from a fan side and not the opponent side, which I've watched him for many, many years. Like, always crud, the puck's on Kane's stick, crud, this is not good, what's he gonna do, to watch that on the other end of like, oh man, what's he gonna do, is really kind of fun. So it's signed by Detroit. He's been off with another injury, not the hip injury, for the last little bit here. He's coming back after the All-Star break as Detroit tries to make this playoff push. It's going to be really interesting to see how this team responds in this same window as they did last year, because last year they faltered in February. They really did, and then
Oh, right, yeah.
blew things up the end of February by 2 bad losses to Ottawa.
Ugh.
I'm hoping this team has grown from the pain of last February to this year, and it's like, hey, we're better now. We know what we did wrong. We're going to keep ourselves in a good position to where we can be buyers at the trade deadline, as opposed to sellers last year.
Yeah.
It's a very big month for the Red Wings.
Nice. Well, hope everything keeps turning up well for you, because it's exciting to watch your team slowly build, and hey, we're actually heading towards the playoffs. So yeah, I think they're gonna make it. All right, yeah. Those are some of the best seasons when you have low expectations and they exceed expectations.
Mm-hmm. So, Justin, anything else from the Metropolitan that you would like to cover?
I don't think so. Yeah, nothing pops up to mind. How about you?
Great. Nope. Boston continues to be surprisingly good. Florida's also good.
Ooh.
Vasilevsky's back and looks kind of like Vasilevsky again.
No
the Maple Leafs are good.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if the Maple Leafs and Bruins meet up again.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I'd love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Maple Leafs would basically be, if we get the Maple Leafs to like the 8th seed, to where the Leafs would play Boston as the 1 seed, you get that Battle of Florida of the Panthers.
That'd be a great matchup again.
The Wings get the first wild card, and they get to play the Rangers or the Hurricanes. Don't really care who. And then it'll probably be okay. This is what we can look forward to now. Moving on. Looking forward towards the playoffs. A lot of things are really starting to get kind of set at this point, to where I can see maybe one of the Islanders or Penguins makes a run and catches Philadelphia in their division.
Right.
In order to be one of the Rangers, Hurricanes, and then Flyers, Islanders, Penguins will be your other playoff team. The Atlantic will send 5 teams to the playoffs, their top 3, and then both 2 wild cards.
Crazy.
Which could be a crazy different combination of teams. The West, I think, is essentially set apart from one spot, because I think the Kings will hold on to their spot as the top wild card, and then it's the Blues, the Predators, the Kraken. Those are the next teams that would be looking at that last wild card spot. I don't really think that, like, none of the Blues or Predators are going to catch their division. I suppose it's possible the Kings catch somebody in their division, but I don't think they're going to catch Edmonton, and they're like 8 points behind the Knights. So I think the Kings are basically your first wild card team, first or second, and then Blues, Predators, Kraken will catch that 4th spot. So I feel like each side kind of has like 3 teams going for 1 spot.
Right.
It's just one's going for wild card, one's going for the division. So it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So now, screen cap that. We'll look at this again when we get towards the end of the season and be like, hey, how much do things really move between the 3rd of February and it's late this year. It's like the 17th or 18th is when the season ends in April.
Yeah, something like that.
It's late April.
Crazy.
So we'll see. But no, that's kind of looking forward towards the playoffs of, like, I think we kind of know who's going to be there. It's just a question of seeding and stuff now, barring a major hot streak or a major cold streak from a team that now, like, they should be in. Like, somebody could fall apart.
Yeah. Like,
really fall apart. But usually at this point in the season, that doesn't happen.
That's already happened, and those teams are out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, league-wide, do we have anything that we should hit on, Justin?
Oh, probably a few things here or there.
Okay.
Utah's apparently ready for a team.
That was very interesting to see how aggressive they were in their announcement that they want to be considered for an expansion spot. Yeah. Great. I'm not a huge fan of expansion. I like 32. I think half the league makes the playoffs, half the league doesn't. That's a pretty even line. The playoffs work that way. If you expand it, the schedule starts to get kind of weird of like, hey, this side has 17 teams, this side has 16 teams, so it's easier to make the playoffs in the East than it is the West, yada, yada. I really like 32. I know there's a lot of markets that they'd rather be in. Markets that have basketball teams, that have football teams, but because you have 7 Canadian markets, you can't be in all the American markets that most of the other sports are in.
Right. Yeah.
So I understand this. You're like, hey, we kind of want to be here, here, and here as well. That being Atlanta, Kansas City, Utah,
Hmm.
and whatnot. But I will say this: if the option for Utah is an expansion, but moving a team located in somewhere in the Southwest that's struggling
Hmm.
to find a place to play other than a college dorm,
Right. And then Haircut Arena. Yep.
perhaps maybe that team could just move north a bit to Utah.
Which that
I
makes the
would
most sense to me.
I
But
wouldn't hate that.
neither would I.
I wouldn't. That probably means that then in like 3 or 4 years there'll be an expansion team that goes into Arizona.
Ugh. I would hate that.
More. Um,
Well, and my thing too is like we already have so many teams from each division that are already ugly with how much talent they don't have compared to some of the top teams. You add another 1, 2, 3, 4 teams, that's just going to dilute the talent pool even more and make it a
and
worse product.
here's where the talent is diluting the fastest, I believe, is goaltending. I think when
Yes.
goaltending's up is ever since like Vegas came in, Seattle came in. It's already hard enough to find goaltending that the more teams start taking more goaltenders, because like you might have 2 goaltenders on your roster, but you have also a couple guys in the AHL. So
Right.
because it's a position that only one guy plays the whole night, so there's only just coming up. There's only so many goaltenders around. Like you can find wingers here and there. You can have guys change from one side of the wing to the other. You can find
Mm-hmm.
defensemen go from one side to the other. If you're a goaltender, you're a goaltender. There's nothing else. And
All right, we're
so
gonna have you skate defenseman tonight. What?
it's
What?
also it's also such a mentally and physically demanding position because you play all 60 minutes,
Yes.
hopefully,
Yeah. Right.
and um, it's the kind of thing where you really do not um, have any more goaltenders that are going to play 60 plus games a year like they used to.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
most teams
yeah.
are going to have 3 different goaltenders start at some point throughout the year.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna like have to expand the rosters to allow teams to have a third travel with them or something.
Yeah,
Like.
you know, because goaltending is getting thinner and thinner. It's such a
Hmm.
hard, mentally taxing position to play that um, I think fewer and fewer people want to be a goaltender too,
Right.
because it
Which
is
is sad.
just you know it's not there's not a lot of glory in goaltending
Yeah.
until you get to the end of a shutout.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you could be you could play flawlessly for 57 minutes and then
Yeah.
give up 2 bad goals in the span of a minute, and you're the biggest loser of the night.
Right.
It is, and you're at the mercy of the team in front of you.
Yeah. That's the other thing too. Makes it tough.
It's really it's a really difficult position to play because your successes and your failures are the highlights every night. You know, particularly your failures.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Ugh. Yeah.
so no, I think the more you thin out the talent, it's going to be harder on the goaltending for it to be good across the league. You're going to see scoring continue to go up.
Right. Which I
Uh,
mean, that's what the league wants: more scoring and more money. So we'll
yeah,
see.
I think what they want is they want that expansion fee that's going to be close to like $1 billion the
Ugh,
next time they
my
expand.
goodness.
It's like, and
Yeah.
honestly, I don't need another draft of a bunch of 18 leaked names the day before
Oops.
that they announced
How'd that
who's going.
person's name get out? Oh, that's
Uh,
weird. Mark Giordano's here. Why are you here today? Huh.
oh, it's just flying to Seattle for fun in the off season.
Right.
I thought it'd be a
Yeah.
cool place to
I
visit.
want to meet Marshawn Lynch. So
Oh, where'd you get that jersey? Oh, I just
Oh, this
found
old
it on the
thing.
street.
Oh.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. I
Thursday,
hope they
Tuesday.
don't, but I won't be surprised if they do expand.
And would they do if they expand the playoffs with that? Would they have like a play-in
You'll
game?
have to. Yeah.
That
That's what I was thinking.
that could, that could be really entertaining, like just a one-off.
Yeah.
Hey, these 2 teams play one game. Everything is on the line. You win, you get in.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I
that,
could see that happening, but I don't know how he do it if he didn't do it something like that. So.
mm. So yeah, that's Utah, and maybe Arizona gets moved there because like Utah has a facility ready. It's only like a 14,000 seater,
Right.
but that's 3 times the capacity of the Mullet Arena. So fine.
Revenue's already hitting there.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we have 2 final things we probably need to get to, and that has to do
Mm-hmm.
with more international outside the NHL play.
Right.
One is the 2018 World Junior team that had a number of players accused of sexual assault, and the other is Olympic news. Justin, where would you like to start on those two topics?
Well, let's hit the 2018 and then and on a little bit higher note with the Olympics. What do you think?
Okay. So this is basically just an update of. If you listened to us before, you've probably heard us talk about the 2018 um, Canadian junior team that had a number of players accused of sexually assaulting a woman, and that happened 2018. So it's 8 years ago now,
Gosh.
six years ago now.
Yeah.
And so we're just getting to the point where now investigations are done, charges are being filed, and 5 players have been asked to report to the London Police Department, London, Canada. And
Yeah, I always get that confused. I'm like, why did they go to London? That seems. Oh wait, never mind.
5 of those players were at some point in the NHL. 1 guy was playing overseas, and then 4 other guys were active players in the NHL.
Yes.
And so Carter Hart in Philadelphia, Dylan Dubé in Calgary, Michael McLeod and Cal Foote from New Jersey, and then Alex Formanton, an Ottawa prospect that was playing overseas. Those 5 guys have all surrendered themselves to the London Police Department. There's going to be a press conference on Monday to actually give us more information of where we're at and stuff. It's big for a number of reasons. One of the big reasons is biggest because that particular Canadian junior team has a large percentage of that team plays still in the NHL. That obviously may or may not have known something happened, didn't say anything, or were part of it, but there's not enough evidence to charge them right now. That maybe once you talk to these 5 guys that have been charged, they'll say, "Oh, hey, no, this guy was here. This guy was
yeah."
Yes, I know all these guys have been interviewed by the league, by the authorities, by other agencies, by Hockey Canada. Things are going to move at the legal pace of Canada, which is extremely slow. I think all legal places are slow.
Yeah, I was there.
But they said this will probably not be a trial until 2 years down the road. So we're going to have little random points throughout the next couple years where things get announced. Hey, this is this. Hey, this is this. Hey, this guy signed a plea deal, or this is going to trial, or all charges have been dropped, or whatever. Or somebody admits guilt, or who knows. But it's the kind of thing where the questions of, while these guys are currently on leave from their team to go surrender themselves to this, how does that affect their cap situation of like, hey, if somebody leaves your team to go face criminal charges from something they did when they were, 18, why do I still have to pay them because they're not available to me for my team right now? Think of the New Jersey Devils, who 2 of their players are currently in London facing these charges. And that sets a precedent for what are we going to do in a situation where somebody's been accused of something and is being charged with something, but they haven't been found guilty.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
You're going to have the teams that are saying, hey, we don't have these guys' services, and the union's going to say, hey, you signed these guys to a contract, you got to pay them.
Right.
It's really quite messy. There's going to be a lot of different layers to this, and who knows what other players in the league are going to get pulled into this. And the problem is you're going to have a lot of this that's all going to be internet rumor.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be very hard to substantiate any facts because you're going to have to wait for the legal system to release the actual charges, the actual facts of the case, the actual evidence. And up until you actually get those releases, everything's going to be speculation. There's going to be so much speculation across the board that this could be very, very ugly and long and messy. So this is going to be a story in the NHL for many years to come.
Yeah.
Regardless of how it plays out.
Yep.
So what our hope is that in the end, there is justice and...
Agreed. If these guys did it, lock them up, throw in the key. If they didn't do it, get them back and restore their name as best you can.
Yeah, and more than likely this could be somewhere in between, to where they don't have to admit guilt, but they all sign a large settlement deal, and the victim gets paid, and the guys can still continue their careers if anybody's willing to touch them after this. I'd say that the biggest name is Carter Hart, because he's a goaltender, and he was the starting goaltender for a professional hockey. Like, he's one of the
Right.
best 32 goaltenders in the league.
Yep.
So, however this pans out for him, somebody somewhere someday is going to want to sign him again.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I would say it. Yeah. Dylan Dubé, he's been floating around second line, third line, fourth line, third line, fourth line. So I think he'll be hard pressed to get back in. Somebody have to be really desperate.
And now all these guys are young. Like, so even if this
Mm-hmm.
takes a couple years, they could all come back in the league at 25, 26.
Right.
3-4 years down the road, and it's not like these are going to end careers age-wise. They just might end them socially. But so long as you
Mm-hmm.
can still play a high level of professional sport,
Right.
somewhere is willing to overlook whatever character flaws you have,
Agreed.
typically.
Yep.
So, anyway, we can move on from that unless you had anything else you wanted to add to that, Justin.
No, I think that sums it up nicely. So
All right.
hopefully it
Then,
gets resolved quickly and
let's talk some international play. What have the players wanted for the longest time?
more money.
Best on best. Best on best competition.
Uh-huh.
And so that's, McKinnon and Crosby and McDavid all want to play in the same team together. That's not going to happen in the NHL.
Nope.
There's a salary cap. Can't do the NBA crap.
Nope. Yeah.
You have to go play internationally if you want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have not gone to the Olympics as the NHL for a decade now. And because it was Sochi, the 2014 games, the last time there was NHL players in those games.
All right.
And there has not been any World Cup of hockey or anything like that. So the players want this back. They want to be able to go back to the Olympics. They want World Cup of hockey. And so to make that happen, this is going to be in tiers. So next year, there will be the four-nation face-off, which will be Canada, the U.S., Sweden, and Finland.
Okay.
Will play a round-robin tournament against each other during what the All-Star break normally is, with a 3-2-1-0 point system.
Which
the top two teams.
The All-Star game.
The top two teams of that will then play for a final. So that will be this little mini tournament that excludes Russian players, Czechoslovakian players, German players, all that kind of stuff. Which I have thoughts on that. Then 2026, we will have Winter Olympics that we will go to.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 years after that, we will have a World Cup of hockey. And 2 years after that, we'll be back to the Olympics, then back to a World Cup of hockey, then back to Olympics. Every 2 years there should be full-on international best-on-best tournaments starting in 2026. That is the plan going forward. Big things they announced this weekend at the All-Star break.
Right. Which
here's my
weird timing. Oh.
Here's my issue is that if you wanted to do this, I understand that there's the Russian issue.
Mm-hmm.
There's the timing issue that they said of look, we're trying to pull all this off in a year to try and do a 8-team national tournament in a week and a half span is just too much to try and pull together in a single year. To which I reply, you dragged your feet intentionally so you didn't have to try and pull this off. Also, right. You don't know what to do with Russia. You're too scared to do anything about it.
Right.
So, boo-hoo on you.
Right. They're just trying to stick it to Ovi. Is what they're really doing. But I'll put my tinfoil hat back on.
And half the goaltenders in the league. Vasilevsky, Georgiev, Shesterkin. It's like, guys, there's a lot of really, really good Russian goaltenders in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want any of them in this tournament.
Right.
Here's what I think you should have done.
Best.
I think, yes, you need a Team Canada.
Uh-huh.
Yes, you need a Team USA.
Uh-huh.
You could have had a Team Europe.
Uh-huh.
And then, or two different European teams, like Northern Europe and Southern Europe, Eastern Europe and Western Europe, to where you could have got Czechoslovakians, Russians, or whatnot. Or, you know what? Do this. Do a Swedish team, and then one full, mixed team. That you could have grabbed 2 or 3 Russian players, a Russian goaltender, and Pasternak, and Draisaitl, and Seider, and Tim Stützle. Like, you could have got all those guys onto one team. That would have been a stacked team against a stacked Swedish team, a stacked Russian team, a stacked American team. Yeah. That I would have had no issue with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think Finland is going to be able to put together a team that's going to compete anywhere near the level that Canada, Russia, probably complete with Sweden. Now, I know Finland is a really, really good hockey group, and they do play a really good team game.
Right.
And in a short tournament, hey, you get on a heater with a goaltender and stuff,
Hey,
you
yeah.
could win the tournament. I think it was more so we need people to play Canada and Russia, or Canada and America, so that they have something to play against until they
Mm-hmm.
play against each other for the championship.
Right.
That's really what this is.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so that's that's what we have coming. It'll be nice to get back to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I look forward to that. I look forward to like getting to share that like with my kids
Oh yeah.
because it's like I haven't had it for the longest time, but like to stay up and like get to watch like really high end hockey and have like be
Yeah.
cheering for like your country. It's kind of fun. Like I remember getting to do that, 10 plus years ago,
Right.
um, 10, 20 years ago when they used to go all the time. And so I think it's good.
Nice.
We're back here. I'm I'm hopeful that we do not then have like with this type of long-term planning that
Uh-huh.
there will not be another NHL lockout
Oh
next time we
yeah.
renegotiate. And I think it's
2030
oh,
this
no, I think it
year
was
or
20,
20
26 or 27
27?
because
Yeah.
2020 they renegotiated. That was like a 6-year deal, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Um, and so we're 4 years into that 6-year deal, and so I think we've got a couple years left before they have to renegotiate this thing. I'd be very curious to see
Mm-hmm.
if they get something done again, like a year ahead of time or well ahead of time, to where there isn't a threat of any lockout or strike or anything.
Right. Yeah.
And just
I
be
don't
like,
think
no,
they
we're
do it well ahead of time. It's the league. It's the NHL after all. So.
yeah. So I think this might be good that like the NHL is looking this far
Right.
forward with their players, saying, hey, we're doing this on this year, this on this year, this on this year, um, and we're not going to be like, oh no, we're not going to have a season in 2023 or 2026 because we're going to lock you guys out to try and get this in the CBA or whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you certainly couldn't lock out. Like sometimes you can lock out the start of a year and then just delay the start of it and then have a shortened season.
Mm-hmm.
But if in that shortened season that you're going to play from like December to April, you
Oof.
have a month off for the Olympics, it wouldn't make it possible.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
um,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
anyway, I see this as there's a couple sides of this that are, in my mind, good news.
Good. Yeah. So I wasn't a fan when they were in the Olympics, so it'll be something new for me to look forward to.
Hmm.
So, all right. Well, anything else then on the league as a whole or each division?
I feel like that's pretty much my thoughts.
All righty. Well, I think those are my thoughts as well. So, if you don't have anything to add, I'm Justin,
I'm Alexander.
and we're the podcast you're about to hear, which you did. So, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.